Good morning, students. Welcome to your chemistry class. Let us further discuss the chapter Structure of Atom. And in this, today, our topic of discussion will be Bohr's atomic model. In a previous discussion, we have done Rutherford's model of an atom, but we know that it was having many drawbacks. So to overcome the shortcomings of Rutherford model and to explain the hydrogen spectrum, Bohr's atomic model came into existence. So Bohr's model of the atom was proposed by Niels Bohr in 1915. And it was having various postulates. The first postulate is the atom has a nucleus where all the protons and the neutrons are present. So there is a nucleus of the atom where protons and neutrons are present. The size of the nucleus is very small. It is present at the center of the atom. The second postulate says us that the negatively charged electrons are revolving around the nucleus and the path of the electron is circular. So electrons are revolving around the nucleus. So how does the model of the atom look like? The nucleus is at the center, which has protons and neutrons, and electron revolve around the nucleus. The third postulate is the force of attraction between the nucleus and the electron is equal to the centrifugal force of the moving electron. Now, what is centrifugal force? When a body is moving in the circular path, the force acting away from the center of the circular path is known as centrifugal force. Okay, and the fourth postulate is out of infinite number of possible circular orbits. We know there are many orbits, but out of those infinite number of possible circular orbits around the nucleus, the electron can revolve only on those orbits whose angular momentum is an integral multiple of h by 2 pi. Okay, so what is angular momentum? Angular momentum is mvr, that is m is mass of the electron, v is the velocity, and r is the radius of the orbit. So when the angular momentum is equal to the multiple of h upon 2 pi, then only in that orbit only we will find the electron. By using this relationship, we can also find velocity of the electron. According to the fifth postulate of Bohr, what does it says? As long as an electron is revolving in an orbit, it neither loses nor gains energy. Hence, such a state is called ground state or normal state. Supposing the electron is revolving in the shell number 1, so that will be known as ground state of the atom. And if the electron absorbs energy and jumps to the higher state, then they are known as the excited state of the atom. According to the sixth postulate, each stationary state is associated with a definite amount of energy. So if we talk about shell number 1, it will be having its definite energy. Similarly, shell number 2 will have its own. So each stationary state is associated with a definite amount of energy, and it is also known as energy levels. The greater the distance of the energy level from the nucleus, the more is the energy associated with it. So if we talk about the energy of L shell with respect to K shell, then L shell will have more energy because the distance is more from the nucleus. And the different energy levels are numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4, or we can also designate them as K, L, M, N. According to the next postulate, the emission or absorption of energy in the form of radiation can only occur when an electron jumps from one stationary orbit to another. That means if the electron is present in the K shell, that is the first shell, that is the ground state, if it absorbs energy, it will jump to the excited state. Now, if it jumps to shell number L, then it will be the first excited state of the atom. If it jumps to M shell, that means it is the second excited state of the atom. So accordingly, we can take the difference of energy here, that is the final energy minus initial energy. And if there is a difference, then what we get is h nu, that is a photon of energy. Now we should remember that energy is absorbed when the electron jumps from inner to outer orbit. Supposing the electron has to go from K to L, then the energy is absorbed and is emitted when it moves from outer to an inner orbit. And when an electron moves from inner to outer orbit by absorbing definite amount of energy, the new state of the electron is said to be an excited state. Just now we were discussing this point, that when the electron, supposing it is present in the K shell, and when it jumps to the next shell, then the energy is absorbed in doing this, and this state, which that is the L shell, when the electron jumps from K to L, this is known as the excited state of the atom, and K will be termed as the ground state of the atom. Now, by using various postulates given by Bohr, radii of various stationary orbits can be calculated. By using the formula, radius of orbit equals to r, that is r, n square h square by 2 pi square me square. When we substitute the values of these constant and then when we multiply it by 1 upon z, that is the atomic number, the value that we get is 0.529 into n square upon z angstroms, where n is the number of shell in which it is there. Supposing the K shell, when we talk about, the n value for K shell is 1, for L shell the n value is 2, and so on. And Z is the atomic number of the atom. So by simply using the formula 0.529 into n square upon Z angstroms, we can calculate radius of orbit. The second thing that we can calculate is energy associated with each orbit. So that also will be using the formula, that is minus 2 pi square me raised to 4 z square upon n square h square 4 pi epsilon naught the whole square. Now these are all constants. So when we substitute the values, the value comes out to be 13.6. So the formula that we can use to calculate energy associated with each orbit is minus 13.6 z square upon n square electron volt. So as you know now that the Z is atomic number of the atom and n is the principal quantum number of the orbit. Now, what was Bohr able to explain us? Bohr's model was able to explain us the stability of an atom, the line spectrum of hydrogen, and the simultaneous appearance of large number of lines in the hydrogen spectrum was explained by Bohr's model. It was not initially explained. We know that electromagnetic wave theory has this limitation, that it was not able to explain the hydrogen spectrum, but Bohr's model was able to explain us. The limitations of Bohr's model of an atom are as follows. Bohr's model of an atom failed to explain the Zeeman effect, that is the effect of magnetic field on the spectra of atoms. So Bohr was not able to explain this. It also failed to explain the Stark effect, that is the electric field effect on the spectrum of atoms. The third limitation is that it violates the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So now what is Heisenberg uncertainty principle? According to Heisenberg uncertainty principle, it is impossible to measure simultaneously the exact position and exact momentum of a body smallest as an electron. We know that electron is a very small particle. So if it is radiated with a high amount of energy, it can knock out from its position. So therefore, simultaneously, we cannot measure its position as well as its momentum. So this Bohr's model actually violates it. And the fourth point is it could not explain the spectra obtained from larger atoms. We can study with atomic number 1. If helium we talk about, if helium loses electron, then the spectra we can study. We can study the spectra of the smaller atoms with the Bohr's model of an atom, the postulates given by Bohr. But we cannot study the larger atoms. Okay, so this has to be considered. Students, this was all for today. Thank you so much.